because after I posted the other video, I received some great comments. People were sharing their experiences because the story I shared is a common story. It's a shared experience among immigrants. If you're a foreigner in the UK, or if you're a foreigner in the United States, in Canada, Australia, chances are that you have gone through a similar experience. So it was really nice to read your experiences and to be inspired and motivated by those experiences. And some of you as well suggested that I could become a teacher in the UK if I wanted to. So that's why I've decided to make this video, to complete the story, so that you can have a complete picture as to where I'm at the moment. Because some of you may not be aware, I am currently a registered nurse in the UK. I work as a nurse practitioner in one of the most brilliant hospitals here in the UK. So at the moment, I am happy and content with the job that I'm doing. But I want to share how I moved from cleaning to becoming a nurse in the UK, because things actually got worse before they got better. And at some point, I was like, you know what? Sod it. I'm going back to Zimbabwe. This is not worth it. I didn't come here to suffer like this. So things actually got worse before they got better. And that's usually the case when you're going through challenges. Things tend to get worse before they get better. And that's when you really need to be careful about giving up or not giving up. So anyway, this is what happened. So I'll start from the classroom bit. So I cleaned those classrooms. I carried on cleaning. So after they sent me to the classrooms, I came back again a few more days to clean the same classrooms, feeling those emotions of sadness. And I actually started to regret why I had relocated from Zimbabwe. Because mind you, this experience, or me feeling pain because I'm cleaning, as I said in the other video, there's nothing wrong with cleaning. This is subjective because, mind you, I was a teacher back home. I was used to being in my own classroom, doing my own things, running the show. Basically, I was running the show. But now I was having to be told what to do, being sent to places to do the job that I wasn't pleased with. So everything is subjective, it's relative to the experience. So just bear that in mind. So anyway, after they sent me to those classrooms, I was sent to another school, and this time I was washing the dishes in the kitchen. I was scrubbing some pots and pans. So I did that. And after that, still they couldn't find me care work because they were experiencing a really dry period. And by dry, I mean there weren't that many shifts coming through. So they could only give me what was on offer. So after that, I was sent to this place where I made dumplings. Now that place was more painful than the cleaning job. The reason it was painful was I was on my feet for hours and hours, making dumplings. I think we were shaping them, putting them on a tray and loading them on this huge trolley. And we did that standing for hours and hours. And yes, we had breaks, but I remember if it was a long day, like 12-hour shifts, there were 12-hour shifts. We started very, very early, around 7:30, because I remember as well at the time going to work when it was really dark. And at the time as well, I was still trying to find my way around. I was still trying to get my bearings because I was still new in the United Kingdom. So anyway, I went to this place for the first time. We were made to wear these hats, to keep our hair out of the food. And we wore as well some shoes, some plastic shoes. So we had to wear protective clothing and also to maintain hygiene because we were making dumplings and that's food. So I remember doing those 12-hour shifts, standing, being on my feet for hours and hours, just making dumplings, putting them on a tray, loading them on this huge trolley, and we just kept on going. And we had breaks. Of course, we had breaks. We had lunch, half an hour lunch, and then we had a 10-minute break after that, sometime in the evening. And we had another 10-minute as well, 10-minute break for breakfast. So those hours on my feet were really painful. And I did that job for a while, actually. I think it was nearly a month. Quite frankly, after that experience, after cleaning, after those dumplings, I was starting to prefer care work. And also, the other reason why I preferred care work was it was more money. Care work paid more the dumplings didn't pay that very well. The cleaning didn't pay that very well. So I was really getting frustrated. I was like, why do they keep sending me to do dumplings? I joined to do care work. That's what I signed up for. So this continued for a while, and I was like, wow, why? At some point, I remember after spending the 12-hour shift at the dumpling place, I remember coming home. Now this is the part. When I decided, you know what, this is not worth it. I want to go back to Zimbabwe. I didn't come here to do this. I didn't come here to suffer like this. I'll tell you what happened. This is what happened. I had a meter in my little bed seat, the bed seat I used to live. I had a meter there where I would put £1 or some coins to get my electricity and my gas. So for me to juice up my electricity and my gas, I had to put some coins. So that's how I was paying for that. I was having to put coins in that machine. So I would put some coins, and then my electricity and my gas would be topped up. So depending on how much I put in there, that's how long I used the gas and electricity for. So during that evening, it was actually around 10 by the time I got home, around 10, thereabouts. So when I got home, opened the door, switched on the lights, the light came on, and I was freezing as well. It was winter time, and I thought, I need a cup of tea. I really need a cup of tea because I am freezing. So I put the kettle on. A few seconds later, guess what happened? Yes, the lights just went poof. Everything just went dark, silent. The little telly in the corner that I had put on just went silent. It was dark in there. And I was like, okay, I just need to put some more coins and everything will be fine. And I reached for my handbag, started to rummage through the papers inside, looking for that coin, that all needed coin at this point, because mind you, it was now heading towards 11 p.m. The shops are closed now, the nearby shops and everything. And it's starting to get quiet outside. In fact, it was quiet outside because it was late. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find a single coin. There was nothing. I needed £1 coins for that meter. I could not find anything. There was nothing. And there was no one I could call at that hour. That day, I froze. It was so cold. I put 2 pairs of socks on. I put a jumper on top of my nightgown, my pajamas. That's how I was able to fall asleep. That little room was so cold. And mind you, I was coming from outside. I didn't get the chance to warm my insides, because sometimes after coming from the cold, if you have a cup of tea, if you have something warm, you feel better. But I didn't have the chance to actually have that cup of tea. I really needed it. And the other thing as well, why I had to wear a jumper and 2 pairs of socks is I couldn't really use my hot water bottle because I had no hot water to use it with, to put in there. So I just had to sleep. It took me a while to actually drift off to sleep, because when I'm cold, especially my feet, when my feet are cold, I find it really difficult to fall asleep. It was in that moment, in that bed, when I was shivering, when I started regretting coming to the UK. This was the time when regret set in. I mean, all this time when I was cleaning and crying and thinking, oh, I should be the one teaching, I hadn't really gotten that far to the point of regretting coming to the UK, to the point of deciding, you know what, this is not worth it. I want to go back home. At least I had a job back home. I can always go back and resume my job. It was a good job as far as I was concerned. I was happy being a teacher, and I was getting a salary at the end of every month. It was something. Back then, things were not that bad. I was getting some money. So in my mind, as I was processing everything that was going on here in the UK with my life, with everything, with work, I was thinking, I was weighing my options, and I decided I was better off going back to Zimbabwe. That was the decision I made in that moment. And the following day, I phoned a friend and I told her, I said, you know what, I've had it. I've had enough. I want to go home. I can't do this anymore. This is too hard. And my friend actually knocked some sense into me. She said, don't be silly. You've just come here. You're still getting your bearings. You're still getting used to things. Things will get better. just hang in there. I mean, she said a lot of things which I won't repeat in this video, but she knocked some sense into me. So after that conversation, I started to reflect. I started processing everything with an open mind. I really had to open up my mind and my heart for me to accept the change, because the change was too drastic for me. I went from being a teacher, from being in charge of my own classroom, running the show, to being told what to do, cleaning, doing a job. I had to open myself to this experience. I had to be open. And this is one thing I want to say. If you want things to change, the change has to start from within. There's no way you can expect change to happen until or unless you believe that that change you want can and will happen. You have to believe. You have to be open-minded and approach things with a positive mindset, with hope and faith. And another important thing as well is gratitude. I had to learn to look at what I had going for me. What I had going for me at the time was I had a visa. Another thing as well, I had a job. I had a job even though I was not completely happy and satisfied with the jobs that I was doing, but I had money coming in. I could pay my rent. I could pay my food, transport. I had a job. I had jobs rather, because I was going to different type of jobs, but still I had a job. So I had that going for me. And I was healthy. I had my health. So I had to look at life that way. I had to walk in gratitude. And that's why I'm always saying gratitude opens you up to abundance. It is true. I've experienced it and I keep experiencing it to this day, because you will find that when you approach situations, circumstances, experiences, or adversity with a grateful heart, I know it's difficult, but when you look around and focus on the good things, what you have going for you, it is easier to find gratitude amidst all the chaos. You will find it when you approach things like that. I mean, I literally had to write things down at some point. I mean, I still do it to this day. I write things down when I can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And when I'm in that dark place and I'm grappling with life, I'm grappling with situations, I come to this point where I know I have to come out of this dark hole. I have to find light from somewhere. That's when I write things down. So I literally take a piece of paper, take a pen, divide the paper into two. To one side, I write the negative things. To the other side, I write what is going for me, the positive things. And every time I do that, if I really examine my life really carefully, being honest with myself, just taking the time, I always find that I have more things going for me than what I'm currently battling. So this I find to be very helpful, and that's what I did. So when I did that, I was able to calm down a little bit. I was able to focus on what I needed to do. So I asked myself some soul-searching questions. I asked myself, okay, I cannot be a teacher right now in the UK, and I can't afford to go to college right now because I needed to pay. So what can I do? What else can I do that would satisfy me? So I looked at my options. I really searched my heart and my soul. And at the time, nursing was the next best thing for me. The reason I chose nursing, even though I never really imagined myself being a nurse, I have to be honest, I never thought I would become a nurse. And my neighbor as well, who was a nurse, always seemed to look tired, really shattered after a shift. And I was like, I don't really want to do this job. And also I had been to the clinic a few times in Zimbabwe. Mind you, I had given birth as well there. And some of the treatment I had gotten from some of the nurses. So I was like, I don't really like nursing that much. But here I was in the UK considering nursing. I was thinking, will I be able to do this job? Because I swore to myself I wasn't going to be a nurse. Under no circumstances would I allow myself to be a nurse. But if I'm to be honest, the thing that sealed the deal for me was the fact that you were given a bursary to study. You were paid to study nursing at the time. So that was attractive for me. And also it was the next best thing. When I ended nursing, my heart wasn't completely in it. I have to be honest about that. But I'll tell you something. Once I got into it, once I started my training, wow, I fell in love with the job. I fell in love with nursing. And of course, I still love teaching. Even up to now, I teach in some form. I mean, the videos I make, I sometimes do teaching type of videos. I am coming from that background of being a teacher. So there will always be a teacher in me. I'll always be a teacher because I love teaching. And one of the comments I got after I posted the other video, someone asked me if I would consider going back to teaching, if it was something I would actually do. And the answer is yes. If I were to go back to Zimbabwe, which I hope to do at some point, I wouldn't rule out teaching. It is something I would definitely consider doing when I go back to Zimbabwe, because I'm used to the system there, the education system. I know it's been decades, a couple of decades and some years since I've been a teacher in Zimbabwe, and I'm sure things have changed, but I know some things don't change. So definitely teaching will be on the cards, because it's a fulfilling job, just like nursing. Nursing is a fulfilling job. It's one of those jobs that will give your life meaning. And that's what nursing did for me. Nursing gave my life meaning. It gave me purpose. It made it possible for me to look myself in the mirror again and to feel satisfied with myself, satisfied with where I was in life. I first of all graduated with a diploma, because if you wanted to do a degree at the time, you had to pay. So I couldn't afford that. So diploma first. At the time, nurses could go into nursing with just a diploma. You had also the option to do advanced diploma, but I didn't go for that one. I just did diploma because for me it was easier because of my circumstances at the time. But when I qualified, I was able to do my degree, my Bachelor of Science. So I did my degree whilst I was on the job. So now I'm happy. I'm now a nurse practitioner. I've been doing the job for 17 years. So I'm happy. I am satisfied, and I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to God for what He has done for me. It has been a journey, quite a roller coaster, I have to say. There have been ups and downs, and I'm sure there will always be ups and downs. Such is life. But the most important thing is not to give up on yourself, to be patient with yourself. Give yourself some grace sometimes, because sometimes we can be hard on ourselves when things are not going the way we planned. We can blame ourselves. We can have those regrets that I also had. I wanted to leave. I regretted making the move at the time. But as I said, it's about giving yourself some grace and the patience, because you have to be your own best friend. If you can't give yourself grace, if you can't be patient with yourself, or if you can't forgive yourself even, why would you expect other people to extend you that grace, to forgive you, to be patient with you, to be understanding with you? Self-care is also important. Look after yourself, look after your health while you battle the challenges of living abroad. Look after yourself, because without your health, you have nothing. You cannot overcome those challenges without your health. You need to be of sound mind, body, and soul. So this is what I had for you in this video. As always, I hope you found it useful. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.